MS research dates.
Brian Mohajeri.
Susan Scott.
Hello.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
My name's Susan.
My name is Brian. What's your connection with the MS Society?
I've had MS for 20 odd years now, and I've gradually got more and more involved, both at the national level, working on the research side of things, but also involved with my local group as well.
Fantastic. I was diagnosed with MS 3 years ago after having symptoms for a year.
Okay.
And just like you, I decided to get involved. And I'm a trustee with the MS Society. You were on the research?
Yeah, I'm in the research network. I worked in clinical drug development in the pharmaceutical industry all my career. And then 2018, I was asked, would I like to join a clinical trial platform as a patient representative? And I didn't know what that was at all. Went along to the first meeting. And that was the start of the Octopus trial. I personally had relapsing remitting MS and was really benefited from getting great drug early on. And thank you very much. And I wanted to make sure that people with progressive MS also get the opportunity to have drugs to treat that.
So I'd love to kind of understand a bit more about how the research network works.
Well, I'll try and tell you what I know, which is I think there's more than 400 people or so who've said that they're interested in helping shape the research that the MS Society does. That group of people is the research network. And to get onto that, you have to undergo some basic training so that you understand research methods and common terminology. And so they can be anything from giving advice to early career researchers on improving their lay summary. They could be reviewing communications that are going out to MS Society members. So there are all sorts of different activities.
Fantastic. I think it's really interesting looking at these kind of networks that we have within the MS Society. Sometimes it can be thought of being a place where you just give and you give, but I think it's a great way to also develop relationships with other researchers, also kind of develop your professional skills, you know, doing things that you wouldn't typically do in your everyday kind of job. Just a great way as well to kind of increase collaboration across the research space as well.
Yes, absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
Fantastic.
Cheers.
Cheers.
As somebody who's working on Octopus, I think I know a reasonable amount about it, but it would be really interesting to know what you know about the trial.
I think with Octopus, it's such an interesting trial because you're comparing different drugs to one placebo. You also have the ability as well to switch out a drug if it's not working and switch in a different drug. Octopus is one of those trials that is filling a gap that has been left for quite a long time. With progressive MS, it's something that's been left behind for a few years, but it's something that now we're hoping to change that so that people can live well with MS.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. Personally, I got really effective treatment early on for relapsing remitting MS, and I constantly feel grateful for that. Anything that I can do to try and represent patients on a study like Octopus just makes me feel so good.
Sometimes there's this delay when it comes to a clinical trial to then the treatment being used.
Yeah.
And with Octopus, you're looking at drugs that are already licensed, they're out of patent. So the ability to translate that into effective treatments is a lot quicker than if it was to go down the pharmaceutical route.
And being able to put in several treatments against placebo at the same time instead of just one phase 3 randomized controlled trial where you test one drug against placebo. It's so much more effective. And also the ability, instead of stopping the trial and having to restart, you can just move seamlessly, if it's effective, straight into the longer stage of the trial where you're looking at the clinical symptoms.
I've got a question for you when it comes to your role in the MS Society and in MS research, which is Where would you hope for us to be in the next 5 to 10 years?
I really hope that this trial, Octopus, has identified at least one drug that could be useful for the treatment of progressive MS. But I also hope that we have the funding to get more drugs to go into Octopus, so that 10, 15 years down the road, we can actually say that we have drugs now that can stop the progressive disability. That's really what I would love to see, that there's hope for people so that they don't get to that stage. What do you hope for in 5, 10 years?
For me, I really hope that we're able to increase our income to fund even more incredible, high impact research that we're funding at the moment. I'd love to see a big breakthrough when it comes to kind of understanding MS as to why it happens, so that we can look at prevention. I'd love to see more treatments for people so that we don't have people that feel like they've been left behind.
Mm-hmm.
I've got quite a few friends who are older with, secondary progressive MS, and listening to them saying that for some of them, they felt like they don't have the hope for the future that a lot of us who are younger do have.
Yeah.
Because for them, their reason for getting involved in trials is to try and help the next generation. Rather than themselves. And I really want to change that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Community question.
Hiya. Sorry to interrupt your date. Hope you're having a really good time. I'm Jo Mason, the volunteer group coordinator for the MS Society Sheffield and Rotherham group. I live with MS and also FND. And I've got a question for you. I'd really like to know what advice you would give to another MSer like myself who's interested in becoming involved in research. Give us the gossip, let us know, and really enjoy your date. Bye.
I think you're probably the best suited person to answer this.
I would say to Jo, please contact the research network at the MS Society and say that you're interested. And there are lots of opportunities, and it's very easy to take the short course, and they'll be delighted that you're interested in participating in research.
Fantastic.
Great to meet you.
Lovely.
Anyway.
Would you have a second date?
Absolutely.
Of course, 10 out of 10.
Absolutely.
Find out more about history-making researchers at mssociety.org.uk/history-makers.